Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Caleb Kaufman with NorCal Physiotherapy and Sports Sciences. Today I want to talk to you about the 3 attributes that you need for resilience. I said resilience, that's the ability to overcome an obstacle. I didn't say to prevent injury. We can never 100% prevent injury. So if anybody tells you that you can, you need to run the opposite way. The stuff that we do, whether it's running, barbell sports, combat sports, soccer, football, whatever, there's an inherent risk and we take that risk. What we want to do is become resilient. We want to decrease our risk of injury, but also understand that injury is going to happen and be ready for when it does. Because the better you're prepared before injury, the better you're going to do after injuries, the way that we condition our body. So what we want to look at are 3 areas. Mobility. Can you move? Are you able to get into the correct position? So a very easy example of this, we're just going to use this, look at shoulder and overhead lifting. With mobility, can you get your shoulder in the right position? Can you lift it all the way overhead? Are you able to attain that correct position? Now, maybe you can do it a little bit. You have that available range. You can lift your arm up and it goes up nicely. But what happens when you go in a different position? When you're face down, can you lift your arm in that same position, or is there a lag? What we're looking at is available. Can your shoulder move through that position versus usable? Can you make your shoulder move through that position? Now, surprisingly, there's a big difference between those two. Even the people who think that they're hypermobile, once you add a little bit of resistance, even if it's just gravity, they have a hard time getting into those positions. So, are you mobile? Can you attain that correct position? Number 2, stability. That is your ability to withstand outside pressure. Can you maintain that position? So going a little bit into that usable range, can you get into that usable range? Can you go all the way up with your shoulder and hold it there when another force is acting on you? Can you do overhead kettlebell carries with a light weight? Can you do some of the stability exercise that we have on our website without any problems, being able to maintain that right position and still get into your usable range of motion? We want to get to that end range, be able to stabilize there. Number 3, what we want to do is strength. We want mobility, we want to get in the position. Stability, we want to stay in that position. And then strength, we want to load and we want to train in that position. What happens if all you do is work on your mobility? You can't overcome any force. What happens if you just work on mobility and stability? Then you're just working with low weights. What happens when you start adding all of these? You start getting into strengthening. You start using heavy weights overhead. Your body adapts to that. Your body is now conditioned to accept these weights, and it's able to become resilient. It's able to say, this is what force is, this is what trauma is. I've done this hundreds of times in the past. When the injury comes, it's able to say, this is trauma, this is strain, this is pain, but I've been here before. I'm able to overcome this. What you're going to find is if you work on these 3 areas, your injuries are going to become easier to come over. Yes, maybe you'll still have a rotator cuff tear, maybe you'll still have a labral tear, something massive and terrible that requires surgery, but even after surgery, your body's used to overcoming these big obstacles. It's going to be easier for you in the long run. That's the big reason why we do strength training. That's the reason why deadlifting, overhead lifting, CrossFit, strength conditioning, that's why it's so important. Yes, it's fun. It gives us a sense of community. But look at the big picture. How does it help us in our life? You've seen those 100-year-old men and women running marathons. You've seen the 80-year-old people setting new PRs for themselves in a deadlift. The reason they're doing that is because they've trained these three things their whole lives, or at least a good portion of it. You've also seen the people who can't get out of their lazy boy recliner, who are stuck in difficult positions, oftentimes because they haven't done these 3 things, because they've said, you know what, I'm going to just do my typical daily stuff. I'm not going to put forth the next effort. We don't want to become invalids. We want to become supermen, superwomen in our later years. A good quote by Theodore Roosevelt, you're either going to rust out or wear out. I would rather wear out.